Hello, this is Doc Cummins at Decision Games. We're going to take a first look at Battles in the East Volume 1. Volume 1 features Bagration Stopped and Sandomierz Offensive. These are two battles from the 1944 campaign. And first thing we're going to do here is take a look at the maps. So what I have here is Sandomierz Offensive, and terrain is relatively obvious here. For one thing I'll point out, there is a start line here in the red dash. Soviets are starting to the east, Germans are on the west. They do have more specific setup information in the setup chart. I'll also point out the red stars that are out here are the Soviet objectives. It makes it obvious for both players what's important terrain-wise at the end of the game for victory points. The key feature here is the Vistula River. The Soviets are trying to get across, so their initial objective in the game is to get their bridge units to the Vistula and get a bridgehead going as quickly as possible. Let me show you the other side. All right, so here we have Bagration Stopped. So now the Soviets are closing in on Warsaw. There isn't a start line here, but the Soviets are basically in the east and southeast area, with the Germans, of course, on the other side. Again, you can see the red stars. These are the Soviet objectives. In addition, they have objectives of getting across the Vistula. They actually start with 3 hexes of bridgeheads already across at the beginning of the game. They will be working to expand those bridgeheads or establish additional bridgeheads for additional victory points there. Let me take you to the counters next. There are 2.5 counter sheets of the 5/8 or large size counters in each game. Each scenario has 1 full sheet, and then they also have a quarter half sheet. And the markers for field forts and out of supply, air support are all on that extra sheet. Let me point out a couple of features here on the counters in general. You'll see the color coding, and the color coding essentially matches up headquarters with a set of units that must trace their supply through that headquarters. So you can see the purple units here on the Soviet side will all have to trace to this purple colored headquarters. So the headquarters range is important. All units must be within range in order to be an attack supply, to have their full attack and defense combat value. The Soviet units, in addition, also have to be within range to have general supply, which is half attack and only 1 attack per headquarters per turn. Germans do not have to trace general supply to their headquarters. In addition, looking at some individual units here, you can see a number of the units have their attack strength in a box with a blue number. That indicates they have armor and they get a 1 right shift in combat. Conversely, some units have anti-tank capability. This is indicated with the box red numbers for defense. Those get a 1 left shift in combat against armor units. Also, you'll see that some units have their movement value in a box. That indicates that they're able to move in the mechanized movement phase after combat. In addition, there are some small triangular symbols that just indicates their last step. So there are some 1-step units versus 2-step here. You'll also see, for instance, some special units. Right here is a King Tiger unit. So when it attacks, it not only has that armor shift, but it also has a 2nd shift available to it, regardless of the armor and anti-armor situation. The headquarters units have the shifts, and they can be applied to any units within their combat range. There are also a couple of leaders here for each side, and they stack with the headquarters and add their shifts to the headquarters shift for application during combat or overruns. Let me next show you some of the displays, charts, and tables. So for instance, here's the display for your turn track. And it also has the division and corps integrity bonuses chart. So that's a quick reference. When you stack units together from the same formation, They get an integrity bonus of 1 to 2 shifts, depending on the situation and the type of unit. Also has the air support table that determines how many air points are available for the turn. Also included are 2 complete sets of the charts and tables. So each player gets their own system player aid card, which has the combat results table and the summary for that. In addition, on the back side, it's got your supply effects and also your terrain effects for the series. Beyond that, each player also has a scenario card. So on one side has all of the scenario instructions for the scenario, and then on the back side of that, it has the setup instructions as well. Finally, I'll take a quick look at the rule booklet. It's a 16-page rule booklet, so basically about the same length as our magazine games, and very colorful and illustrated. Lots of examples of play, and I'll just quickly kind of give you the look here. So extra charts about what's going on with each rule. Yeah, nice, again, illustrations. Call attention to the overrun rule. That's particularly important in this game. So this gives you a good overview of how to, the extra costs of movement, how does it work, a review of how does enemy zones of control affect overrun. Stacking is over here on the other page. Disengagement, so there is an additional cost to disengage in this game, just like other PGG series games. The division core integrity rule is explained again here with some examples. Some more examples. Okay, and then finally, a good overview again of the headquarters is included. So again, the headquarters are basically the command and control elements for the units that are under their command. This helps keep things a little more historical in terms of units tracing and working through their headquarters. The games also tend to work with attack and general supply being delivered over time. So you have some control over that in some games as to which units are going to have attack supply during the game and when. Some of the future games in this series have untried units. And here again, there's a nice upgrade that each untried unit actually has 3 different versions of it that can come out when it goes through the reveal stage. All right, so all together, we've got Battles in the East, a first look, and thanks for watching.